All right, so it's about 14 hours after Hurricane Milton made landfall here on the west coast of Florida. I've got an update on what's going on here in Spring Hill, Florida. Plus, we've got cruisers out there on cruise ships complaining about the hurricane and how it's disrupted their cruise. It's so insensitive and annoying. But yeah, let me get in the office here. Fortunately, nothing happened to my office. Parking lot's a mess, but yeah, here we go. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Thursday. Like I said in the intro, we're about 16 hours past landfall. We're here in Spring Hill, Florida, and we got lucky. The storm shifted to the south. We're about 2 hours north of where landfall was. And those images of landfall are just devastating, just horrific. There are people that have lost their lives because of the storm, tornadoes. I say it all the time. I'm like a broken record, I guess. It's, you want to be excited that you were spared from the tragedy, but you know that there are people that are having tragic times. So we certainly feel for that scenario. There's about 3 million people without power here in Florida. And even in our little service area here in Spring Hill, I think it's like 40,000 people that are without power. We're very fortunate. At our house, we sustained almost zero damage. There was like one piece of siding that came off of our house. We did not lose power. We did not lose internet. And fortunately, that means that we can help out our family members who are in that circumstance. Both of our brothers lost power. Jenny's mom lost power. I did take my mom back to her house today, and her house is in good shape. She still has power. I'm here at the office. The office had power, and I didn't have any damage here. So overall, feel very, very fortunate. I was out, taking my mom back today. There's street lights that are out, and businesses are starting to reopen. The Publix was open this morning. As I got to the office here about noon, the McDonald's had opened. I did see one Wawa gas station on the other side of town that had gas, that were selling people gas. And so like it goes after these storms, people are cleaning up in the neighborhoods, and businesses are starting to reopen. And, it's wild, though. It's wild when I sat down to start looking at things here. It just blows my mind how insensitive some people are when it comes to storms like this, especially the entitlement that happens. Like, I'm on a cruise and things should go my way, even though I'm cruising during hurricane season. I certainly don't want to give that person too hard of a time, but we are going to talk about somebody shooting their mouth off when it comes to cruising during hurricane season. Well, before we get to that, let me share one more hurricane thing. As we were approaching landfall last night, I had to make one more run to my mom's house. And to get to my mom's house, I was kind of paying attention to what businesses were still open, but I noticed that the Chick-fil-A was still open. So we swung by to see what was going on at the Chick-fil-A. It was the longest line. It was longer than any gas line I'd seen. People trying to get that last minute Chick-fil-A, which I thought was amazing. We would have got it too if the line wouldn't have been that long. We were thinking, all right, we'll get this Chick-fil-A, and then that way we can save some of our food at the house in case we need it. But we skipped this big Chick-fil-A line, and then the Dollar Generals were open late yesterday. Those places were packed, so everything else was closed. I talked a couple days ago about being surprised that businesses are closed. I live in a town where most of the time, even though storms are close to the town, nothing happens. They don't close down, and so that really speaks to how ominous Milton was for everybody. That places I've never seen closed down were closed in this town. So I do want to say that. I think some people took it the wrong way. Like I didn't want businesses to close down. I'm certainly happy for people to get closed down and get prepped and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't that. It was just more like, I've never really seen these businesses closed down in this town. And in case people who saw the live stream are curious, here's a quick look at the pool. We were concerned that the water level was rising, that it wasn't self-regulating fast enough with the drains and stuff. Everything looks perfect this morning. So again, I feel very lucky and very blessed to have gotten through that storm with minimal issue last night. The announcement that came out from Royal Caribbean yesterday, super wild. And I've heard this pitched a couple different ways, and I don't know what's true at this point. They announced that they're going to have a perfect day Mexico. And the first way that I heard this pitched was that they were buying Costa Maya. the cruise port of Costa Maya. Now, I don't know if that's 100% accurate. I got to dig deeper, but the stuff that I'm reading, I haven't seen that being true. I do see it being near Costa Maya, and this is going to be like a perfect day at Coco Cay type implementation where it's all self-contained and they've got beaches and pools and food, and essentially you go to Mexico and just stay in their self-contained thing like you do when you go to Perfect Day at Coco Cay in the Bahamas. But man, if we can verify whether or not they're actually purchasing the Costa Maya cruise port, which would be a great spot to put Perfect Day Mexico. A lot of the infrastructure is already built out there. That would be a wild thing. That's an interesting cruise port. If you've never been there, some Mexican businessmen developed Costa Maya, built the dock, they built the whole self-contained. And if you've ever been there, it is one of those deals where they've got like a dolphin encounter and they've got a bird encounter. They've got a swim up swimming pool. They've got all this shopping. It's almost like a self-contained cruise stop where unless you try really hard, you're not really getting into Mexico. There's some great excursions there. Of course, I've been to Chocchoban, which is a Maya ruin there in Costa Maya. But I don't know. I got to dig deeper, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to find out the full skinny on it. But man, is Royal Caribbean buying the Costa Maya resort area and taking it for themselves to transform it? Or will this Perfect Day Mexico be something else? All right, now let's talk briefly about this cruiser that's shooting their mouth off because of the hurricane and the inconvenience that they suffered because of the hurricane. We have a cruiser out there on social media saying, I was supposed to go to Cozumel, Mexico, but for safety reasons, I had to go to Progreso, Mexico. And you know what? When I booked my cruise, I planned on going to Cozumel and I didn't go there, so give me $250. I understand. And you see a lot of folks out there, you know, on the cruises like, oh, you know, what's what? Trust the cruise lines. How about that? Trust the officials. If they need to move you somewhere else to keep you safe and to be mindful of the people that are getting ready to go through a hurricane, then how about just chill out? I think the reason I'm bringing this story up, I really, I'm trying not to have it in my heart where I'm angry at people that are insensitive in this way. Maybe people just don't know. The big, I guess, takeaway is if you're cruising from June to the end of November, that's hurricane season. And during hurricane season, when you're on a cruise ship, there's a good chance that if a storm comes, your cruise itinerary will be altered. You may have to stay at sea a couple extra days. You may have to go to Progreso instead of Cozumel. There's no telling what happens. You sign a cruise contract that says you're cool with that, even though you're not reading all the small print, and it does happen. So I would just ask people, instead of complaining about your bad cruise time, to think about the people that are going through a real life hard time. And go from there. Hope everybody is doing good. Tony for La Lido Look. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.